if you really think about it, and I know a lot of people hate me when I say this.
Why?
But the scriptures say that the Most High can raise descendants of Abraham from stones, bro.
What?
Stones, little rocks, little pebbles. So why is so much emphasis placed on being an Israelite? Why is so much emphasis placed on a bloodline lineage? You know what I'm saying? Are we truly keeping the law, statutes, and commandments?
All right, Shabbat Shalom, family. It's your boy Solemn Prophet here with Professor S. When this is another episode of Shabbat Talk. Today we got Sister Yanni here with us.
Yes.
Shabbat Shalom, sis. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
And so today Joel is going to be, Professor S, excuse me, is going to be leading us in this lesson. So I'm gonna hand over the reins to him. Be sure to like the video. Be sure to share. Be sure to subscribe. We always forget to do it, and then we try to catch up on the end of the video. But make sure like, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment. Share your thoughts. If it's any topics that you would like us to cover, make sure you drop those down in the comments as well. If you have any questions, you know, like I say all the time, my channel ain't that big, so every comment I get a notification, and I do answer to all the comments. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and give it on over to Professor S. Professor S, the floor is yours, brother.
Technical difficulties, but so we're doing a study on Romans 11, and we'll just go ahead and get right into it, I suppose. So right here, Romans 11, we're going to start off with the first 5 verses. So, I say then, has Elohim rejected his people? Let it not be. For I also am of Israel, of the seed of Abraham, the tribe of Benjamin. Elohim has not rejected his people, who he knew beforehand. Or do you not know what the scriptures say of Eliyahu, how he pleads with Elohim against Israel, saying, Yahweh, they have killed your prophets and overthrown your slaughter places, and I alone am left. They seek my life. But what does the answer of Elohim say to him? I have left for myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to Baal. So therefore also, at this present time, a remnant according to the choice of favor has come to be. So let's say there is a remnant, right? There's a remnant of Israel, and we're going to go to 1 Samuel 12 real quick. We're going to go to verse 22. 22. For Yahweh would not cast away his people for his name's sake, seeing it has pleased Yahweh to make his people. Also, as for me, far be it from me that I should sin against Yahweh in ceasing to pray for you, but I shall teach you the good and straight way. Only fear Yahweh, and you shall serve him in truth with all your heart. For consider what marvels he has done for you. But if you persist in doing evil, both you and your sovereign are consumed. So right here, once again, we see the Most High has not cast away his people. He has not forsaken Israel, right? And we'll go to 1 Kings 19.
Okay.
18. And right here we have it. And I shall leave 7,000 in Israel, all whose knee have not bowed to Baal, and every mouth that has not kissed him. That's just another confirmation of what Paul was saying there in Romans. And then in 2 Kings 19:31. For out of Jerusalem comes forth a remnant, and those who escape from Mount Zion. The ardor of the way does this. So just reiterating, Paul was talking about the remnant now. And then we'll go to Isaiah 10. Go to 20 or 22. The remnant of Israel return. What a appropriate subtitle there. And in that day shall be that the remnant of Israel and those who have escaped from the house of Jacob never again lean upon him who struck them, but shall lean upon Yahweh, the set apart one of Israel in truth. A remnant shall return, the remnant of Yaakov, to the mighty El. For though your people, O Israel, be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return, a decisive end overflowing with righteousness. And then we'll go to Jeremiah 31. Where that says Yahweh, sing with gladness, O Yaakov, and shout among the chiefs of the nations. Cry out, give praise, and say, O Yahweh, save your people, the remnant of Israel. And then lastly here, Psalms 94. Yep, 94. For Yahweh does not leave his people, nor does he forsake his inheritance. So we see here that just as Paul was saying in Romans, and we'll go back there. Back to Romans 11. So he has not rejected his people, right?
Right.
And a remnant is going to be saved. So we'll continue on verse 6 and 7 here. And if by favor, it is no longer of works. Otherwise, favor is no longer favor. And if it is of works, it is no longer favor. Otherwise, work is no longer work. What then, Israel, has not obtained what it seeks, but the chosen did obtain it, and the rest were hardened. And so the rest were hardened. The chosen here, the chosen of Israel, the remnant, has obtained. And they've obtained what they've seeked after, right? And so we'll go to Ephesians 4:18. Having been darkened in their understanding, having been estranged from the life of Elohim, because of the ignorance that is in them, because of the hardness of their heart. It says, Paul was just saying in Romans 11:7 or 11:6 about how their hearts were hardened, and right here it's saying that because of ignorance, that is because of the hardness of their heart. Right?
Yeah. It says they become estranged from the life of the Most High.
Yep.
Okay.
So now we'll go to John 12:40. Okay, right here. He has blinded their eyes and hardened their heart, so that they should not see with their eyes and understand with their heart, and turn and I should heal them. So blindness has come in part to Israel, and what Paul is talking about in Romans 11 is the restoration, right? Being restored back into covenant with the Most High. 2 Corinthians 3. Let's see here. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, and we go to verse 14. But their minds were hardened, for to this day, when the old covenant is being read, that same veil remains, not lifted, because in Messiah it is taken away. And then, verse 4. In whom the mighty one of this age has blinded the minds of unbelieving, so that the enlightening of good news of the esteem of Messiah, who is the likeness of Elohim, does not shine on. And then 1 John 2:11. In 1 John 2:11 it says, but the one who hates his brother is in darkness and walks in the darkness and does not know where he is going, because the darkness has blinded his eyes. Right? So that just reiterates the blindness that's come in part to Israel, which is being removed, and the covenant is being restored. So now on to verse 8. As it has been written, Yahweh has not sent them a spirit of deep sleep, eyes not to see and ears not to hear, unto this day. David also says, let their table become for a snare, for a trap, for a stumbling block, and a recompense to them. So, let's see. We'll go to Isaiah 29:10-13. Oh, there it is right there. It's 29:10. Yeah, if I'd have done this, if I'd have put these notes together on eSword, it would have been like half of the study would have already been done for me. So, anyways, 10-13. For Yahweh has poured out on you the spirit of deep sleep and has closed your eyes, prophets, and he has covered your head with ears. And the entire vision is to you like the words of a book that is sealed, which men give to one who knows a book, saying, read this, please. And he said, I am unable, for it is sealed. And the book was given to one who does not know books, saying, read this, please. And he said, I have not known a book. 13. And Yahweh says, because this people has drawn near to me with its mouth, and with its lips they have esteemed me, and it has kept its heart far from me, and their fear of me has become a command of men that is taught. Commandment of men. So with that, we'll go to Colossians 2:22.
Yep.
Now,
Yep.
let's see, here we go. Colossians 2:22. Which are all to perish with use, according to the commands and teachings of men. And then once again, you've got the Isaiah 29:13 we just read. Now we'll go to Matthew 15:9. Oh, here we go. Right here. Yeah. But in vain do they worship me, teaching as teachings the commands of men. And then you go to Mark 7:7. It's right here. And in vain do they worship me, teaching as teachings the commands of men. Back to Romans. So we'll get back to verse 10 here. Let their eyes be darkened, not to see, and bow down their back always. I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? Let it not be. But by their fall, deliverance has come, to the nations, provoke them to jealousy. Interesting is right here. So this is where I was going to go from there. They made me jealous by what is not El. They provoked me with their worthless matters, but I make them jealous by those who are no people. I provoke them, they foolish nation. So right here, it's prophesied back in Deuteronomy 32 that Israel would be made jealous by a foolish nation, by a people that are not a people, right? Good stuff. So all of this was already prophesied, so it's really nothing. Yeah, it's nothing new. It's just a lot of people haven't put all that together. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, yeah. Like I got so many scriptures like flowing through my mind right now.
Right.
You know, like this topic is like one of my favorite topics.
Right. Feel free to chime in anytime you want to, man.
Absolutely.
Oh,
I'm in student mode right now. I'm learning.
You what? Oh,
I'm in student mode right now.
Excuse me. So, Romans 11:13 through 14. For I speak to you, the nations, inasmuch as I am an emissary to the nations, I esteem my service. If somehow I might provoke to jealousy, there we go again, Deuteronomy 32:21. Those are my flesh, and save some of them. So Paul is saying here that he's delivering this to the Gentiles, hoping that the Gentiles will provoke his own people, those who are his flesh, right? So he's clearly demonstrating here that the Gentiles he's talking about are not his flesh, right? But those that are of his flesh.
He tells us who he is in verse 1. You want to re-hit that one up again?
No, verse 1, yeah. It's right here. For I am of Israel, of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
So those are his flesh. Gotcha.
So, for I speak to you, the nations, insomuch as I am an emissary of the nations. I esteem my service, if somehow I might provoke to jealousy those who are my flesh, and save some of them. For if their casting away is the restoration, the favor of the world, what is their acceptance but life from the dead? Right? Their acceptance, life from the dead. So then we're just gonna we'll swing back to Romans 9, 3 through 16 real fast. Romans 9. For I myself could have wished to be banished from Messiah for the sake of my brothers and my relatives according to the flesh, who are the children of Israel, to whom is the adoption and the esteem and the covenants and the giving of the Torah and the worship and the promises, whose are the fathers and from whom is the Messiah according to the flesh, who is over all, Elohim blessed forever. However, it is not as though the word of Elohim has failed, for they are not all Israel who are of Israel.
Play on words.
Yeah, that's just a little commentary there. Neither are they all children, because they are the seed of Abraham, but in Isaac your seed shall be called. That is, those who are children of the flesh, these are not the children of Elohim, but the children of the promise, reckoned as the seed. For this is the word of promise: at this time I shall come to Sarah and shall have a son. And I shall come, and Sarah shall have a son. And not only so, but Rebekah, having conceived by one our father Isaac, yet before they were born or had done any good or evil, in order that the purpose of Elohim according to choice might stand, not of works, but of him who calls. It was said to her, the greater shall serve the lesser. As it has written, Jacob I have loved, Esau I have hated. What then shall we say? Is there unrighteousness with Elohim? Let it not be. For he says to Moses, I shall favor whomever I shall favor, and I shall have compassion on whomever I shall have compassion. So then, it is not of him who is wishing, nor of him who is running, but of Elohim who shows favor. And we'll also swing over to Isaiah 11:10. Isaiah 11:10. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, standing as a banner to the people. Unto him the nation shall speak, and his rest shall be esteemed. So,
What's the pronunciation of Jesse in the Hebrew?
Yeshay.
Yeshay? Okay.
Okay. So, back to Romans
So
11.
Romans 9 said a lot, bro.
Yeah.
Can you break that down and elaborate?
Yeah. Yeah, we could go back to which part?
Just like a quick summary, so we can take that with us as we go to the next
All right.
portion.
Well, basically, Romans 9 here is talking about it's talking about how not according to the flesh that people are saved, not according to the flesh, but according to the choice of Elohim, or whoever right here says, not of works, but of him who calls. And so it wasn't because Esau being the firstborn, all of the inheritance and everything should have gone to Esau because it was the firstborn according to the flesh, right? But it's not according to the flesh; it's according to the choice of Elohim, right? And then here we have from Exodus 33:19, where the Most High says, I shall favor whomever I shall favor, and I shall have compassion on whomever I shall have compassion on. We can actually go and read that right here. He said, I shall cause my goodness to pass before you, and I shall proclaim the name of Yahweh before you. And I shall favor him who I favor, and I shall have compassion on him whom I have compassion.
So basically, it's about just who the Most High chose to appoint, not based on being of the flesh, meaning like being of Israel. Like being Israel doesn't make you saved. Yeah.
Just like we like where we had just read. Hang on, let's go back to where it says right here. For they are not all Israel who are of Israel, right? So just because you're Israel according to the flesh doesn't mean that you're Israel. They are not all Israel who are of Israel. So if you're of Israel, right? Israel according to the flesh, just like we read in Jeremiah, where it was talking about. Was that Jeremiah or Isaiah?
Yeah, from of Israel of the tribe of Judah. I mean the tribe of Benjamin.
Just like where we had read in, I believe it was Jeremiah, where it said that where he said that even though Israel be the sands of the sea, a remnant will be saved. So only the remnant is actually considered Israel, right? The rest may be Israel according to the flesh, but only that remnant is actually considered to be Israel. As we'll see as we'll see continuing on in Romans 11, we will see that we'll see who is Israel.
Okay.
So, let's go to verse 15. 15. For if their casting away is the restoration to favor of the world, what is their acceptance of life from the dead? Now, if the first fruit is set apart, the lump is also. And if the root is set apart, so are the branches. And for that, we'll go to Revelation. We'll go to Revelation 22:16. I, Yahusha, have sent my messenger to witness to you these matters in the assemblies. I am the root and the offspring of David, the bright morning star. So he's that actually probably should have been in the other part. Anyways, so he's right here. He's witnessing of these matters, right? It is the root and the offspring of David, because being the Messiah, he was actually who created everyone. His name's 2, 4, I believe. 4. Anyways, so he actually created everyone, and so he's not only the offspring of David, but he's also the root of David, right?
Right. Let us make man in our image.
Yes.
Got you.
So, Jeremiah 11:16. Okay. Jeremiah 11. So in Jeremiah 11:16, 16 and 17, Yahweh has named you a green olive tree, beautiful, of goodly fruit. With the noise of with the great sound, he has set it on fire, and its branches shall be broken. And Yahweh of hosts, who planted you, has spoken evil against you, for the evil of the house of Israel and of the house of Yehudah, which they have done against themselves to provoke me by burning incense to Baal. Something interesting to note here, because we're about to get into, in Romans 11, we're about to get into the olive tree, where we were before. We were at 16, right? Now, if the first fruit is set apart, the lump is also. And if the root is set apart, so are the branches. So he's getting ready to start talking about the olive tree. And it's important to know what the olive tree is, and we'll get into that. Something to note here, though, is that in Jeremiah 11:16 and 17, it's actually saying that both the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom were cut off. Both the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom were broken off. So it's not just, the northern kingdom's broken off and they're gone. It was actually both of them.
Where's that at? Because I've heard the argument for the Gentile nations, all of the Gentile nations in the New Testament being of the southern kingdom, not as other nations, like foreign nations, strange.
Yeah. Well, that was already, as we saw Paul talking about according to the flesh. He's trying to provoke people that are according to the flesh by bringing in people who are not his kinsmen according to the flesh. So that's already right there.
Yeah.
Taking that apart, because if they were Israelites, then they would have been according to the flesh. No, he wouldn't have been. Yeah.
Fire right there.
right here. Right here. So Yahweh has named you green olive tree, beautiful, of goodly fruit. With the noise of a great sound he has set on fire, and its branches shall be broken. And Yahweh of hosts, who planted you, has spoken evil against you for the evil of the house of Israel and of the house of Judah, which they have done against themselves to provoke me by burning incense to Baal. So he's saying both of them, not just the house of Israel. Yeah, house of Israel right here. House of Israel, yeah, they're broken off, right? But also the house of Judah, there. So everyone, all the branches broken off the olive tree being Israel, that we'll speak here real soon. It had two branches. It had the house of Israel and the house of Judah growing off of it, and they were both broken off. Right? Then we'll go to Isaiah 14, 5 through 7. I shall be like the dew to Israel. He shall blossom like a lily and strike out his roots like Lebanon. His branches shall spread. His splendor shall be like an olive tree, and his fragrance like Lebanon. So once again, here we see Israel is likened to the olive tree, right? Yeah. There's also in Judges, I think it's Judges 9. That one's a kind of long parable, and it also equates other types of trees to Israel as well. But it's also referred to. Israel is also referenced as an olive tree in that as well. It's longer, and I just left that one out.
Copy.
So Romans 11:17. And if some of the branches were broken off, and you, being a wild olive tree, have been grafted in among them, and come to share the root and the fatness of the olive tree, do not boast against the branches. And if you boast, remember, you do not bear the root, but the root bears you. Right? So that's really important, I think, to understand here is, we can't be, being grafted into the olive tree and then boasting against natural branches, right? Because it's their olive tree, right? The natural branches are those that naturally grow out of it, right? And so, you can't just be boasted against it, right? It's right here. You do not bear the root, but the root bears you. Right? You shall say then, the branches were broken off, that I might be grafted in. Good. By unbelief they were broken off, and you stand by belief. Do not be arrogant, but fear. For if Elohim did not spare the natural branches, he might not spare you either. So, right? So, it's not, this should never be about, oh, look at me, I believe this, and it can't be, especially with like churchianity today. They want to be like, oh, well, we're the new chosen people, and Israel, oh, that's all,
So there's a lot of shade being thrown on the actual Jews, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of shade being thrown because they fell away. Those branches were broken off, and so they equate a lot of New Testament believers equate the Old Testament to being like that diary that explains how Israel failed over and over again, and now somehow that they've been grafted in, they're like better because their grafting is based off of faith and not all of the things that previous firstborn, so to speak, natural branches, you know, had did. So he's telling you, like, check yourself.
Yeah.
Like,
Especially Gentiles, especially Gentile believers need to protect themselves because if Elohim is not sparing some of the branches that were broken off, right? If he's not sparing them, then how, you know, he might not spare you either, you know. And then see then the kindness and the sharpness of Elohim on those who fell sharpness, but toward you kindness, if you continue in his kindness. Otherwise, you also shall be cut off. And this term cut off right here, it's all through the Torah. It says, if you don't do this, you're going to be cut off, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it's referring to. Cut off from among your people, right? Cut out of the olive tree, right? So we're going to go to Genesis 17:14 real fast. Right here. And an uncircumcised male child who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, his life shall be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. So right there you see something that can get you cut off, right? And then Exodus 12. 15. 15 through 19. So Exodus 12, 15 through 19. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. Indeed, on the first day you cause leaven to cease from your houses. For whoever eats leavened bread from the first day until the seventh day, that being shall be cut off from Israel. Right? And on the first day is a set apart gathering. On the seventh day you shall have a set apart gathering. No work at all is done on them. Only that which is eaten by every being, that alone is prepared by you. And you shall guard the festival of Matzot. That's unleavened bread. For on this same day I brought your divisions out of the land of Mizraim, Egypt. And you shall guard this day throughout your generations, everlasting law. In the first month, on the 14th day of the new moon, in the evening, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the new moon in the evening. For 7 days, no leaven is to be found in your houses. For if anyone eats what is leavened, that same being shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether sojourner or native of land.
Okay.
Now, in 31:14, right here. And you shall guard the Sabbath. It is set apart to you. Everyone who profanes it shall certainly be put to death. For anyone who does work on it, that being shall be cut off from among his people. Leviticus 7, excuse me, 7:27. What this is? Yeah. Any being who eats any blood, even that being shall be cut off from his people. And this is just examples of where the Torah says you'll be cut off for this, you'll be cut off for that. Numbers 9. Yeah, over and over. I mean, this is very brief. I'm not going, it's not exhaustive list by any means. But the man who is clean and is not on a journey and has failed to perform the Passover, that same being shall be cut off from among his people, because he did not bring the offering of Yahweh at its appointed time. That man bears his sin. And then 15. 30 and 31. But the being who does whatever defiantly, whether he is native or a stranger, he reviles Yahweh, and that being shall cut off from among his people, because he has despised the word of Yahweh and has broken his command, that shall certainly be cut off. His crookedness is upon him. Another continuation there of things that get you cut off, right? So, all right, so 23. And they also, if they do not continue in unbelief, shall be grafted in. Elohim is able to graft them in again, right? So he's saying that if the Israelites that didn't believe in Messiah, if they believe in Messiah, if they come to believe in Messiah, they're grafted back in again, right? The bottom line here, as we saw from Jeremiah 11, 16, and 17, that both the northern and the southern kingdoms were cut off. Everyone's done something that qualifies them to be cut off from Israel, from the olive tree. And it's through faith and belief in Messiah we can be grafted into the olive tree. Whenever, these are agricultural terms that a lot of people may not be familiar with, but what you would do to graft a branch onto a tree, you would cut the spot where in the tree that you want to put the new branch on, you would cut that spot, you make it to where part of that branch would go into it. You like split it, and then the other branch, the branch that you're trying to put on, you would carve it down, and then you shove it down into where the split was. Then you tie it up, wrap it up, and what would happen is the tree would grow into it. So you'd have a live branch that you cut out of a wild tree, right, or a different tree, and you would shove that into a cut on the old tree that you want to grow out of, and then it would grow in together, and it would become the one tree, right? You could look back at it, and you could tell that this branch is different than the rest of the tree, right? But the root and all the nutrients from the tree that it's grafted into will be feeding that branch, right? And it'll start producing fruit. But then again, if it doesn't produce fruit, then what do? You cut it off. You're like, it's not producing fruit. It's no good. Cut it off. It's just using up nutrients, right? Which essentially is what Messiah says when he talks about his father pruning the trees and any branches that don't produce fruit, he's cut off, right? Because the more branches you have on a tree or a plant or a vine, whatever the case is, the more nutrients is being dispersed and not focused onto. So you want the branches that are producing the fruit to be on there, and the ones that aren't, take them off, because all they're doing is robbing nutrients that could be producing fruit on other branches, right?
Hey, can I show a visual example?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, hold on one second. So this right here is what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So you take it in the original and you cut it, and then you take the branch that you want to bring in, you split it, and it goes into that split, and then you tie it together, and eventually it grows into, like right here. See right there? Mm-hmm. It grows into it, and it becomes, you tie it, and then it becomes its own branch. Mm-hmm. And it grows into itself. Yep.
So
So we got this right here by itself. You graft it, then it becomes its own, as if it was a part of the original tree.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
We're going to go to Acts 13. We'll go through, let's see, 46 through 48. Speaking boldly, Shaul, Barnabas, said, "It was necessary that the word of Elohim be spoken to you first. But since you thrust it away and judge yourself unworthy of everlasting life, see, we turn to the nations, or the Gentiles. For so the Master has commanded us, I have set you to be a light to the nation, that you should be deliverance to the ends of the earth." And when the nations heard this, they were glad and praised the word of Yahweh. And as many as had been appointed to everlasting life, remember in Romans 9, it was those who were appointed, right? Those who were chosen by Elohim. Not according to the flesh, not according to all this other stuff. It's those who are appointed. So even here we see only the Gentiles who had been appointed to everlasting life were the ones that believed. The rest of them didn't. You know?
Right.
And the word of Yahweh was being spread throughout the entire country. No, that's already what I was going to read. Yeah, there we go. Now, go back to Romans 11. Okay. So we see olive trees, Israel, and everyone needs to be grafted into Israel through belief in the Messiah, right? Faith in the Messiah. But without that, you can't be, because that's what grafts you in, right? And only those who are appointed to it, only those who are chosen, not according to flesh, because not all who are Israel are of Israel, right? And just a little recap there. So, for if you were cut out of olive tree, which is wild by nature, and were grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these who are the natural branches be grafted into their own olive tree? So now once again here he's saying if you're a Gentile and you were grafted in an olive tree, how much more are the Hebrews, how much more are the Israelites going to be able to be grafted back into their own olive tree? Because it was there. They were what's that?
It was theirs to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. So right there he's saying, you're gonna they're able to be grafted back into. You don't want to boast against them. So I would never be boasting against Israel, saying, "Oh, look at me, I'm grafted into the olive tree." You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna do that. Because it's easier for them to be grafted back into their own olive tree than it is for me to come in. You know? So right here. For I do not wish you to be ignorant of this secret, brothers, lest you should be wise in your own estimation, that hardening in part has come over Israel until the completeness of the nations has come in. And so all Israel shall be saved, as it has been written, the deliverer shall come out of Zion, he shall turn away wickedness from Yaakov. And this is my covenant with them, when I take away their sins. Truly, no, right there. Oh, and that's exactly, look at that. It's right here. And the Redeemer shall come out of Zion, and those turning from their transgressions in Jacob. And declares Yahweh. As for me, this is my covenant with them. said Yahweh. My spirit that is upon you and my words that I have put in your mouth shall not be withdrawn from your mouth, nor the mouth of your descendants, or from the mouth of your descendants, said Yahweh, from this time and forever.
But it's a place a highlight portion in verse 20. It says, and to those turning from transgression.
Yes, yeah. Now once again.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a key point right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because not all Israel is gonna be willing to turn from their transgression. Like it said, not everyone in Israel is of Israel.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
So those who turn from their transgression will have everything that is mentioned in the next verse, in verse 21.
Mm-hmm.
From your descendants and your descendants' descendants. A lot of descendants.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now we'll go to wait a second. Acts 15:3. There we go. Okay. So, being sent on their way by the assembly, they passed through Phoenicia and Shamar, relating the conversation of the nation, or conversion of the nation, sorry. And they would cause great joy to all the brothers. So now back here we see all the brothers. So right here we see all the brothers, Israelites, were rejoicing. They were joyful that the Gentiles were being converted. Which is how it should be, you know. I mean, whenever someone turns from their transgressions and turns from their wicked ways and starts keeping the commandments and obeying Most High, we should all be rejoicing. Yeah. There's that. Here we got 17:26. And he has made from one blood every nation of men to dwell on all the face of the earth, having ordained beforehand times and the boundaries of dwellings. And 28 and 29. There we go. Therefore, let it be known to you that the deliverance of Elohim has been sent to the nations, and they shall hear. And when he had said these words, the Yehudim, the Jews, went away and had great disputes amongst themselves. Isaiah 43, 6-9. Here we go. I shall say to the north, lift them up, and to the south, do not keep them back. Bring my sons from afar and my daughters from the ends of the earth, all those who are called by my name, whom I have created, formed, even made for my esteem. He shall bring out a fine people who have eyes, and deaf ones who have ears. All the nations shall be assembled, and the peoples gathered. Who among them declares this and shows us former events? Let them give their witnesses to be declared right, or let them hear and say it's truth. Then we got Amos 9:12. So that they possess the remnant of Edom and all the nations on whom my name is called, declares Yahweh. Who does this? And James 2:5-10.
Oh, wait. Read the footnote real quick.
Oh, the footnote? Okay. The vowels which the Masoretes added later on makes this read Edom, but it was probably a mistake. It should be Adam, meaning mankind. That's interesting.
Yeah. And that's going, and it's didn't we just come from Acts 15?
We did. We were just in Acts 15. Yeah.
Yep, and that was the connecting.
Well, so we were in a different verse in Acts 15. But after this, I shall return and rebuild the booth of David, which has fallen down, and I shall rebuild its ruins and shall set it up. So the remnant of mankind shall seek Yahweh, even all the nations on whom my name has been called, says Yahweh, who is doing this. Now that's interesting right there, the remnant of mankind, right? Because the other one says Edom, but in the New Testament with the Greek, it was mankind. So that's where they probably that's right. Screwed around the text. So, and now we'll go to James. James 2, 5 through 10. Listen, my beloved brothers, has Elohim not chosen the poor of this world, rich in belief and heirs of the reign, which he promised to those who love him? But you have shown disrespect towards the poor man. Do not the rich oppress you and drag you into the court? Do they not blaspheme that good name by which you are called? If you truly accomplish the sovereign law according to the scriptures, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. You do well. But if you show partiality, you commit sin, being found guilty by the Torah as transgressors. For whoever shall guard all the Torah and stumble in one point, he is guilty of all. So right here, now this is key too, showing partiality, right?
Yep.
Because it's commanded not to, and you become a transgressor if you're showing partiality. Yeah. Well,
could that be partiality on both ends, where like it warns the Gentile who's grafted in not to boast against the natural branch, but could it also be the flip side? What could it also be the natural branch, which is the Jew, which is the Israelite, boasting against the Gentile?
Yeah, absolutely.
Showing partiality? Okay.
Absolutely, because that's even what the Torah says. In fact, it says, once a Gentile has become a part of the congregation, you're to treat them as if they're native born.
Yes.
And in fact, it is a sin to remind them that they're not, according to the Torah.
Facts.
But then for me to go in and say, oh, well, you're Israelites and they're doing all this and boasting in any way at all, that would be, once again, that would be showing partiality or boasting against natural branches, which obviously I'm not supposed to do. I mean, I'm fortunate for the kindness and the kindness and favor of Elohim. It's not like I should be like, oh, well, look at me, this. Yeah. So, yep. So we'll go back to Romans 11 and finish up the chapter. I got a couple other passages, and that'll conclude my study notes.
Oh man, I knew I was excited for this lesson. Before I knew it was a reason.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. Okay, so 28 through 36. Truly, as regards the good news, they are enemies for your sake, but concerning the choice, they are beloved for the sake of the fathers. Gifts and the calling of Elohim are not to be repented of. For as you also at one time disobeyed Elohim, but now have obtained compassion through their disobedience, so also these have now disobeyed, that through the compassion shown to you, they also might obtain compassion. And he's going back once again to when the Israelites see the Gentiles are keeping the commandments, they're going to be like, well, they're keeping the commandments, and it's supposed to provoke the jealousy, like Deuteronomy 32 says. You know, it's supposed to provoke the jealousy to say, oh man, I need to start keeping the commandments. You know what I'm saying? So also made that through the for Elohim had shut them all up to disobedience in order to have compassion on all. Oh, the depths and riches and wisdom and knowledge of Elohim! How unsearchable his judgments and untraceable his way. For who has known the mind of Yahweh? Or who has become his counselor? For who first gave to him, and it shall be given back to him. Because of him, and through him, and to him are all, to whom be esteemed forever. Amen. So yeah, we've got a couple more passages here. Isaiah 60. Let's see.
Real quick, before you click on that one, verse 31, it says, so also these have now disobeyed, and through the compassion shown you, they also might obtain compassion. For Elohim has shut them all up to disobedience in order to have compassion on all. It's, to me, what I'm reading, to me, it sounds like it's addressing both individually and then both together at the same time. Like, it's like talking to the Israelites. You guys were broken off. Your branches were broken off. Compassion was taken on the other nations to graft them in. But the Most High is having compassion on you to be regrafted back in. So you need to show that same compassion to the Gentile nations as they're taking on this journey of having to come into the truth and learn how to keep the Torah. And compassion, and a part of that compassion being patience, because we read in Acts, remember, they were trying to throw the whole law onto the newly converted Gentiles.
Yeah.
Right? So you need to have patience and compassion with them as they begin their journey in the truth. And then on the other side, talking to the Gentiles, well, as you see, the Most High had compassion on the Israelites for being grafted back in. You also only got your slot because they messed up in the first place.
Yeah.
So you need to humble yourself and have compassion on the Israelites and patience with them and dealing, and everybody needs to just have compassion.
Yeah. And you know, it would be like, it would end up, if we were living this way like we're supposed to, it would be like endless cycle of compassion, and it would just be like such a beautiful thing because everyone would be having compassion on everyone. Right. It's like when in a marriage or a relationship, right? If each of the participants, if the husband and the wife both are looking out for the other, right? If the husband is looking out for the wife and the wife is looking out for the husband, and each of them is trying to do things for the other, then they're always going to have pretty much everything they need, all of their needs met by each other.
Right.
And it'll just be an endless cycle of, I take care of you, you take care of me, all back and forth, right? Whereas if one of the parties or both of the parties is, rather than trying to give into the relationship, right? And instead of trying to give into the relationship, one of the parties is on the take, right? The one is giving, or maybe neither is giving, but let's, for this instance, one is giving, but the other one's taking, right? Then it's not going to be, it's not even, and the other one is one eventually going to be drained, right? Or if neither of them are giving into the relationship, see, with the husband and wife, husband should be trying to give all that he can to the wife, and the wife should be trying to give all she can to the husband, and then all the needs are met all the way around, and it's an endless cycle of just everyone receiving, right? without even attempting to. However, if one or both is trying to take more than they're giving into the relationship, they're trying to take more from it, then that's when it's going to collapse into chaos and it's going to be a big calamity. And that's sadly what's happening with most relationships now, why divorces are at such a high rate, because one or both of the parties is not trying to give the other. And it's perfect here with the compassion, and compassion, giving compassion. Elohim gave compassion to us. The Most High gave compassion to us for a purpose, so that others could receive compassion as well. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And He's the initiator of all the compassion, but we're supposed to be following His example and continuing to give the compassion. And as everyone gives compassion, then it becomes this endless cycle of this wonderful beauty. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It's so beautiful, and it's like right here that gives this so much more meaning, where it says how unsearchable are His judgments and untraceable His ways. I mean, we couldn't even fathom doing something like that. You know what I'm saying? Using the disobedience of His own people to give compassion back to them and extend compassion to others. Oh man. You know what I'm saying? It's like wow.
Drop the fire, drop the flame.
How unsearchable, and it is. It's totally unsearchable. Like I could never have thought of that. You know what I'm saying? The disobedience of His own people would be compassion for all. You know what I'm saying? It's just amazing. Let's go to Isaiah 60, verse 16. Excuse me. You shall suck the milk of the nations, and shall suckle the breast of sovereigns, and you shall know that I, Yahweh, your Savior, and your Redeemer, am the mighty one of Jacob. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Let's see. 66 now.
You said that was Isaiah 60?
Yeah, that was Isaiah. Verse 16. 66, 9 through 14. And see, that's another thing right there. It was how unsearchable, dude. Oh my goodness, it is. It's so unsearchable. Just for the Most High to even be able to formulate such a plan, because right there talking about we will suck the breath of the Gentiles and suck the milk of the Gentiles and the breasts of kings, right? Because regardless of how it turned out in the meantime, it was a major act of preservation of the word for the Most High to give the word to the Gentiles, because with them they preserved it, whether they preserved it, and eventually we've got Israel come back into this, realizing who they are, and having learned that they've sucked the milk of the Gentiles in order to be able to learn all this, so that then they're able to come back in and realize who they are again, and be grafted back in once again to their own olive tree. Oh man, it's just so unfathomable.
Hey, I have a highlighted in my book, Isaiah 60, verses 1 through 3.
60, 1 through 3.
I got a little note in here, and it seems like it might relate to what we're talking about.
Okay, yeah. Do you want to read it, or
no? I was just pointing it out.
Oh, okay, yeah. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the esteem of Yahweh has risen upon you. For look, darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness the peoples. But Yahweh arises over you, and his esteem is seen upon you, and the nations shall come to your light, and sovereigns to the brightness of your rising.
So my note was like, is Israelites the Gentiles or Messiah? So I put Messiah to Paul ? On there, but it's highlighted. So I don't know. It may be tying into what we're saying, or it might be talking about something different.
I think it is, man. I think it is. Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
19. Something like okay, so it's talking about the Most High.
Which, of course, yeah.
Oh, yeah, look at 21.
21.
Yeah.
And your people, all of them righteous, shall inherit the earth forever. A branch of my planting, a work of my hands, to be adorned. Wow.
Wow, yeah.
Wow. Well, great stuff, man. Okay, so now Isaiah 66, 9-14. Shall I bring to birth and not give delivery? Says Yahweh, shall I, who give delivery, restrain birth, says your Elohim. Rejoice with Jerusalem and be glad with her, all you who love her. Rejoice greatly with her, all you who mourn for her. So that you feed and shall be satisfied with the breast of her comforts, so that you drink deeply and shall delight yourselves in her overflowing esteem. For thus says Yahweh, see, I am extending peace to her like a river, and the esteem of the nations like a flowing stream. You shall feed, you shall be carried on the side, and be fondled on her knees. Yeah. As one whom his mother comforts, so I comfort you, and in Jerusalem you are comforted. And you shall see, and your heart shall rejoice. Bones flourish as tender grass in your hand, and the hands of Yahweh shall be known to his servants, and his displeasure to his enemies. Let's see. 49. Restoration of Israel. I've actually got the whole chapter. Yeah, we can read the whole chapter, I suppose. Listen to me, O coastlands, and hear, you peoples from afar. Yahweh has called me from the womb, from my mother's belly, has caused my name to be remembered. And he made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand he hid me, and made me a polished shaft. In his quiver he hid me, and he said to me, you are my servant, Israel, in whom I am adorned. And I said, I have labored in vain, I have spent my strength for emptiness and in vain. But my right ruling is with Yahweh, my work with my Elohim. And now, said Yahweh, who formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Yaakov back to him, Though Israel is not gathered to him, yet I am esteemed in the eyes of Yahweh. My Elohim has been my strength. And he says, shall it be a small matter for you to be my servant, to rise up the tribes of Jacob, and to bring back the preserved ones of Israel? And I shall give you as a light to the nations, to be my deliverance to the ends of the earth. Thus says Yahweh, the Redeemer of Israel, their set apart one, to be despised, to be to the loathed ones of the nations, to the servant of the rulers. Sovereigns shall see and arise, rulers shall bow themselves, because Yahweh, who is steadfast, set apart one of Israel, he has chosen you. And this goes right back to what in Romans 9, where he says those that are chosen, right? Where he says, just great. It's so complex and unfathomable, man. Here we go. The restoration of Israel. Thus says Yahweh, favorable time I shall answer you. In the day of deliverance I shall help you, and I guard you, and give you for a covenant of the people to restore the earth, to cause them to inherit their ruined inheritances, to say to the prisoners, go out, to those who are in darkness, show yourselves. Let them feed on the ways, and let their pastures be on all bare hills. They shall not hunger nor thirst, neither heat or sun strike them, for he who has compassion on them shall lead them, even by fountains of water, guide them. And I shall make all my mountains awake, and my highways rise up. See these come from far away, and see those from the north and the west, those from the land of Sinan. Sing, O heavens, rejoice, O earth, and break out in singing, O mountains, for Yahweh shall comfort his people and have compassion on his afflicted ones. But Zion says, Yahweh has forsaken me, and Yahweh has forgotten me. Would a woman forget her nursing child, and not have compassion on the son of her womb? Though they forget, I never forget you. See, I have inscribed you on the palms of my hand. Your walls are always before me. Your sons shall hurry, your destroyers, and those who laid you waste part from you. Lift up your eyes round about and see all of them that gather and come to you. As I live, declares Yahweh, you shall put on all of them as an ornament and bind them on you as a bride robe, or a bride does, sorry. For your wastes and your desert places and the lands of your destruction shall soon be too narrow for the inhabitants, while those who swallowed you up are far away. The sons of your bereavement shall yet say in your ears, the place is too narrow for me, make room for me to live. And you shall say in your heart, who has brought forth these for me, since I am bereaved and barren, exiled and wandering to and fro, and who feared them? See, I was left alone. From where did these come? Thus says Yahweh, Master Yahweh. See, I lift my hand at the nations and set up my banner for the people, and they shall bring your sons to their arms and your daughters carried on their shoulders, and sovereign shall be your foster fathers, and their sovereignesses your nursing mothers. They bow down to you with their faces to the earth and lick up the dust of your feet. And you shall know that I am Yahweh. Those who wait for me shall not be ashamed. Is prey taken from the mighty, and the captives of the righteous delivered? Yet thus says Yahweh, even the captives of the mighty are taken away, and the prey of the ruthless is delivered, and I strive with him who strives with you, and I save children. And I shall feed those who oppress you with their own flesh, and let them drink their own blood as sweet wine. All flesh shall know that I, Yahweh, am your Savior, and your Redeemer, the mighty one, Yaakov. Wonderful stuff. Wonderful stuff. Ties into so many different things. And then I'm just going to leave it with this. This is one of my favorite passages, actually, because it means a lot to me. So I'm just going to leave it here. And then maybe we can have a little discussion or whatever we want to. If you had anything you wanted to bring up, but Jeremiah 16:19. O Yahweh, my strength, my stronghold, my refuge in the day of distress. The nations shall come to you from the ends of the earth and say, our fathers have inherited only falsehood, futility, and there is no value in them. Right there. And then it goes right back to Romans 9. Great stuff. But that's essentially how it was for me, I was like, wow, my fathers inherited only falsehood, only futility and vanity. You know what I'm saying? And I said I need to not partake in that vanity. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah.
Oh. Wow. This goes like hand in hand with a lot of what I love to talk about.
Yeah.
It goes hand in hand. This actually answers some questions. This is its own set apart lesson, but it ties into so many other lessons. But it also is like the answer to those lessons, and those lessons are the answer to this as well. It's so crazy how everything goes together.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You there, sis? You got any notes or any thoughts about what we covered? She might be away. Bro, I was excited for this for a reason, and I didn't know how deep this was gonna go.
Right.
And man, like, because this is like one of my favorite topics. Like, I talk about this all the time, about how it's not about a physical lineage, a physical fleshly carnal connection to the Father. It's about a spiritual connection through obedience, right?
Now theoretically, in theory, the obedience, because we all receive the DNA and the markers on the DNA and everything from our parents. So theoretically, it's supposed to have been passed on the lineage, right? But because of disobedience, because of continuously going and worshiping Baal and all this junk, it wasn't passed on the way it was supposed to have been. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And that caused all of the various captivities and the various mixings of bloodlines and dilutions of the bloodlines and dilutions of genetic markers and codes. But yeah, man, this is amazing. All praises to the Most High.
So yeah, to recap, the olive tree is Israel. Now, if you ask most pastors, most Christian ministers, what the olive tree in Romans 11 represents, they can't tell you. Or they think it's the church, or they think it's this or that, or whatever the case is. But in fact, when you let Scripture interpret Scripture, you've got Hosea and Jeremiah and Judges saying that the olive tree is Israel. And then Messiah is the root, right? So if Messiah is the root bears the tree and the branches, right? Being grafted in because everyone's been broken off. As we read in Jeremiah, that both the northern and the southern kingdom were broken off. It was basically Israel was like a barren tree with no branches left. You know what I'm saying? And Messiah restored by allowing branches to be grafted back in. You know what I'm saying? And then using the disobedience of the broken branches to, oh my goodness. Amazing.
Yeah. Using the disobedience of broken branches to graft completely new, different branches into the tree to bring the old branches back into the tree to reform and solidify the whole tree as a whole. Whoa.
Yeah, and bring it all back. And that's like one of the greatest mysteries of all, really, is how Israel, even despite having broken the covenant, was able to be brought back into it, right? And how the covenant was opened up. Just beautiful, man. Beautiful.
So
and then ultimately all Israel's going to be saved and that's all like Israel as in
the newly formed olive tree, not old Israel.
Yes, not
and its descendants. It's talking about Israel, the olive tree.
Yep.
So in Acts chapter 10, when Peter tells Cornelius, "For you know that it is unlawful for a Jew to come unto one of another nation," he says, "But the Most High has shown me that I should neither call man common nor unclean." That right there is proof of what we read, where it says you shouldn't be boastful of the other branches, right? You should love and show compassion to one another, because on one end you lost your place as a branch, and then you only got your place as a branch because they lost theirs, but they were the first one, so I'm gonna bring them back, of course. And if I got rid of them as a branch, don't think that I won't get rid of you as a branch.
Yeah.
So that's right there the example of not being a respecter of person.
Yep. Because any branch that's not producing fruit, what's it good for? You're just going to cut it off. So yeah, because otherwise it's just robbing the nutrients of the branches that are producing fruit.
The olive tree, to me, after everything, I equate it to the blanket that came down from heaven in the vision that Peter received of all the various animals, some common, some clean and some unclean. And then the voice came to Peter and said, "Kill and eat." Like that's what I equate it to. Like it could have very well been a blanket come down with an olive tree on it, and him trying to interpret the olive tree.
Right. And you got wild olive branches and natural olive branches.
Natural and wild, right? Some of the lineage of Israel, some not of the lineage of Israel. Wow, man. Wow. I'm gonna have to go back and watch this again. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot, bro. It was a lot to take in.
Oh, I know, man. I kept forgetting where I was going with certain scriptures and stuff. Like, I'm like, why did I put that in there? And then when I'd read it, oh, okay, that's
This video right here is gonna have to have another video, play the video, and give additional commentary. Like that's how thick this is. This is super thick.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. I'm gonna definitely have some of the previous videos about this topic play at the end of the video. Sure. And then it'll all come together. Like, wow, man. Wow. I learned some things tonight, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. All praises to the Most High.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Praises. Wow. That's all I can say. I have to let this digest. You know what I mean? I gotta let it digest, and then I gotta watch this video again, and then I gotta go and study and look into some of the words. Because as you was going through the various scriptures, I'm looking at words that was being read, and I'm like, "Ooh, I wonder what that word is in the Strong's." And if, bro, like, oh my goodness, it's you've been holding out, bro. You've been holding out on me. You've been holding out on me.
I just usually don't. Like I said, man, I usually just don't write this stuff down. So like, I can have these like great studies and be like, "Oh my goodness, my mind's blown," and I wrote none of it down. So it's just like, I'm like, man, I wish I could remember all the different scriptures there.
Wow! All praises to the Most High.
Yeah, that was actually that was one of the first like really in-depth studies I did with Brother Joe, who recently passed last year. He really meant a lot to me, and he taught me a lot. And it was one of the first like really deep studies I ever did with him. He broke that down. Since then, I've gone back over it and accumulated more scriptures to go along with it, and it's part of the result that I obviously didn't make an exhaustive list of certain things, but just to get the points across.
Facts. For time purposes, you could go on and on and on.
Oh yeah,
we'd be here for 3 weeks.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Be here for 3 weeks, still going through it. But man, this was amazing. This was an awesome study. Awesome study. I haven't felt like this in a while, man. So thank you. I needed this.
Yeah.
This was that compassion. This was that pouring into someone else, right? Like I needed this.
Yeah.
I needed this. All praises to the Most High.
Oh yeah. Glad I could present a topic that's edifying, So
absolutely, y'all need to rewatch this at least twice. At least twice. I'm sorry, like you're gonna miss some things. You got to rewatch this at least twice. And this isn't me trying to get more views. I could care less about the views. Because honestly, if we cared about views on this channel, I would create content that would get views. I would create content talking about stupid stuff and nonsense to what y'all would eat it all the way up and share it with other people for them to eat up that nonsense. We're not about views in this situation, in this channel, man. It's about edification of the masses, getting the word out so that more people can seek a closer relationship with the Father. And if we can provide a little bit of information to plant that seed that can grow into an amazing olive tree that produces good fruit, then all praises to the Most High. But this video right here, this particular video, you should definitely watch at least twice. Rewatch it at least twice. I'm blown away, man. The Most High, it's like you were saying in that one verse, it was like who can search out, what is it? Who can search out?
How unsearchable are his ways?
Unsearchable are his ways, man.
Yeah, and then you get people that would be like, oh, that was just written by a whole bunch of people and it means nothing and it wasn't inspired by anything. And it's like, nah, you haven't read it.
Facts. Wow. Obviously, this goes without saying. This confirms a lot of things for me regarding Israel, what it takes to be considered Israel. Were the other nations able to come into the fold of the congregation of Israel, both in the Old Testament and in the New Testament? like so many different things, and it just confirmed a lot for me. It's a lot to take in, but man, all praises to the Most High. Like this was needed. This was definitely needed. If you guys got anything out of this, then all praises. I definitely did. So not to sound selfish, but if nobody else in the world that watches this video gets anything out of it, it was for me. I hate to sound selfish, but hey, hopefully you guys did get something out of this. You know what I mean? Joe put on a very, very great presentation. Professor S dropped the S on us tonight. But definitely check it out. Share with other people. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Like I said earlier, if you got questions about this particular video, comment below and ask your questions. If you got other information you'd like to share, comment that too as well. And if you would like us to talk about different topics, because we take feedback, you know what I'm saying? Provide some topics you would like for us to discuss and cover. Because this one came out of the blue. I've read Romans 11 a couple different times. And each time I read it, I got something different out of it, but never to this extent. Like this one study, I've gotten more out of this study than probably every other time I've read Romans 11. And I can go through my Romans 11 right now, and I already got a lot of stuff highlighted in it. But bro, like, this is crazy. So,
well, thanks, man. I'm glad it was. I'm glad it was a good study.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. I love you, brother. Absolutely.
I love you too.
Absolutely. Wow. Wow, man. Look, hey y'all, be safe out there, because this gonna go. I'm still in shock right now. I gotta let y'all off the hook. Be safe out there. Get into the word. Show some love and compassion to your brothers and your sisters. Treat your neighbors as yourself, not just the neighbors that have the same skin color as you. And all praises to the Most High for His word. May He be magnified and given all esteem. And with that being said, man, y'all be safe. Shalom.
Shalom.
Is the focus on the Father in Israel? You know, all these brothers and these sisters, you know, they talking about the laws apply to them and that they woke up and everything. But what's changed from when they was in the Christian church or when they was atheists or whatever their background was? What's the difference in Israel than in these other religions? Where we got God's name, the Most High's name,
But
a new focus on language. We got more books than just the 66 to study and to read.
But
You know what I'm saying? But my question is, are we showing love? Are we edifying and building one another up? Is we
Yeah.
spreading the word? Is we passing on this information to others?